All right, guys, I'm doing one more today. Not sure why, but I got it to work. Um, so I've been talking about how you can have constructs of resources in a remote library, and then you can run build, and then your engineers or developers can self-service themselves and download those constructs, say via npm, for example, and use it, right? So I got a working example of that, and keep in mind that I know I'm using tmux. The fifth window is where I'm using the construct, and the sixth window is the source of the construct, which is in a different directory entirely. To give you an idea, it says that this is my module right here, CDKTF modules. But if I actually look at npm ls, you'll see that it's actually in a remote directory, not inside this particular repository here. Anyways, so if I look at company bucket again, um, now I am creating company bucket stack. I've renamed this. Actually, let's just go ahead and rename everything here. We'll call it my S3 bucket, and we'll also call this my S3 bucket args. My S3 bucket args, and I actually need to change it down here as well. That way, we completely are away with company bucket, which belongs to the construct itself, not necessarily the the user who's using the construct. And I also need to change it in main.ts because that's going to complain saying that that's going to be my S3 bucket there and my S3 bucket here. Okay. So even though I'm calling S3 bucket and I can have, this particular bucket here, um, which is all fine and dandy, it's actually using this other repositories. This is the source for the remote repository. It's going to go ahead and use company bucket. Company bucket is going to make an S3 bucket, and it's going to give us a output as well. And if you pass in a KMS key ID, it will go ahead and use a KMS key ID. It will always use a KMS key ID. By default, it uses the S3 KMS key ID, so I can go ahead and do this. Otherwise, it's undefined, and that's okay. And I think the syntax is actually a little more different, and I could just do that. That would probably be better. And so that's what I'm trying to get to. So this is the remote library that your infrastructure slash cloud engineers would refine and use. Like, they take the concerns from security and developers, like, hey, when we ask for a bucket or when we ask for whatever resources, if we don't specify KMS key ID, use the default AWS KMS key ID and all that fun stuff. Like, you can have like multiple resources. You can tie in KMS. You can maybe you want by default you want SNS with a bucket for notifications and so on, and you can tie that into the remote construct. And all they would have to do is they would use your company, your construct, and as long as they have the version up to date, they will get the latest version of your construct. So that's where versioning comes into play as well, because maybe wherever you push your remote library, you can go back to a previous version, something that worked, in case you introduce some breaking changes that were more unwelcome. And so that's the benefit of this approach. So even if we were to go use this now, actually, I haven't even tested it out yet, but let's see. This was from the last run. Um, let's see what it looks like. I don't know if this will work, but it should work. Should, keyword being should. And it does work. And we get that same error if you don't specify this, which I did specify from the remote library. Actually, let's go ahead and change this and use the method and see if that takes effect. And I haven't done an upgrade either, but you get the idea. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say bucket dot put server side encryption, and the value is going to be rule and bucket enabled true. Apply SSE algorithm is always going to be AWS KMS. And same thing, I should have just copied and pasted. args dot KMS key ID or undefined. And I don't care which, to be honest. So now we can get rid of that. And that will go from there. And now we actually have to update, we should actually have to update our package JSON going forth. And now to run npm run build. I'm using tsup to build my packages. Now, as I said, I version changed it. So now going back here, this should not work. This should still point to version 1.0.1. And it looks like it is, because it has it even though it's running with npm link, it should hypothetically cache it in node modules. So let's go ahead and change this one to 1.01, sorry, 02. And if I go here and we can say npm ls, now 1.02 is there. And I'll just do an npm install just for the heck of it. But we should see also an npm ls. It's there. And let's go ahead and bring that back up. Main.ts. And let's go ahead and work with this. I should not see that particular thing. And I still see it. And I don't know why. Why do I see that? I wonder if it's even working. In fact, let's introduce a breaking change. Let's remove that entirely and see if it doesn't work. Yeah, and we're not going to use args. That's okay. Args is optional for sure. So, oops. Now we can go ahead and bump this up to 3, wherever the 1.0.1 is. Or sorry, 1.0.2. That's what I was a little confused what's going on there. Do npm install just in case. And npm ls now shows 1.0.3 is pointing to that. In fact, let's go ahead and actually, that's okay. Let's see what it shows. And now we don't see it. So it is actually updating. Maybe the method I just didn't notice last time also does the same thing. And it still shows that error. But there you go. Now it's gone. And so that's how you go ahead and you have a remote library with engineers who know their AWS, build the constructs for you, and then the developers who are going to use them, they can self-service it. They can just go, oh, let's go ahead and import company bucket from this one repository that everybody's using, and use the company bucket and fill in the necessary properties that are required, and whichever properties are not required. And that's how you self-service, create a self-service of your AWS resources. And so with that, I will end this video as well. And this particular thing, it says cannot find modules. I think it's just not dist, so it's okay. Anyways, I'll be gone now, so I'll talk to you guys in a bit.